All right, click the links to join the channel here over at subscribe. I just put a video up there on the impending collapse of civilization. So Soy James Bond, I thought this was a parody when I saw it, and I'm still not 100% on it. Some of it, I saw direct quotes from the book, and others just seem so ridiculous that it, even for current day, it's a stretch. But then you look around where we are and like, is it really a stretch? Because things are getting pretty freaking weird. So the soy people have completely and totally taken over James Bond. Now, how do men turn into such giant bloody pussies? And like I said, I'm not sure this is real because it's even for current year. It's some of the quotes are too on the nose. It might be a parody. I hope it's a parody. for for all of our sake, I hope it's a parody. It feels like a parody, but you got somebody like Diana Abbott over in the UK or AOC over here, people who are legitimately, not hyperbolically, Dunning-Kruger low IQ people who we even have some justices who apparently one doesn't know what a woman is. Actually, this is a woman who doesn't know what a woman is, and the other woman, I don't forget her name. She doesn't know what the 10th Amendment is. She goes, I don't understand why the Fed wouldn't have this power, but the states does. It's in the first, that's in the 10th Amendment. It's right there. You should know this. Did you get through law school on merit? Did you get through college on merit? Or was there some other mechanism that got you through college and law school? Perhaps. Was it perhaps not merit? Perhaps not a good GPA and LSAT score? Some objective evidence that got you through those, that you don't know what the fucking 10th Amendment is, or you can't define what a fucking woman is. Holy shit, man. So anyway, I mean, it's like when the parody websites like the Babylonian Bee and those kind of things, like it's when shit is beyond parody. What, what do you do? What do you do? Anyway, so those are, I mean, like we're ruled by idiots, and I don't mean that like they're jerks. I mean they're legitimately low IQ people are in office. They are representatives, which in some districts, as someone pointed out in the comments yesterday about AOC, goes, no, 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 you don't understand. That AOC is a fair, accurate representation of the people in her district. I'm like, I didn't think about that. So you're probably right. So in Weimar, every year is going to be 1984, and it's always 451 degrees outside. There's a passage on Twitter. Let me get to it. This is claimed to be from the book, but this seems just too ridiculous to be true. But we're in such a ridiculous time, I can't tell parody from reality anymore. I mean, if you told me 20, 30, 40 years ago, I can't imagine 40 years ago, if it's only 40 years ago, that parents would sterilize their kids because of social media pressure, social contagion type of gilding the lily, the flowers of the Holland flower bloom type of thing, those kind of boom and bust cycles, mass cultural hysteria and a social media dopamine. When you get like affirmation from like if you told me this society 20 years ago would be at this point, I would not have had this structure in my brain to conceptualize it, to wrap my head around the concept, but it's all actually happening. So who knows? And really, we should blow your tits back. Is what do you think the next 20 years, 40 years holds? Oh, are you saying it's this exponential growth, this exponential notation or geometric growth pattern is just continuing? Yeah, the rate of the rate of the rate. Yeah, it's just continuing. It's just going to get worse and worse. It's further and further circles of hell. So this book is about a current year king's coronation from a few months ago, but there are a bunch of evil blonde Englishmen who are the real problem in England. It's the actual Englishmen are the problem in England. It's like, no, they're not, because they're English. They can't be the problem in their own country. So in the story, they're plotting a large-scale Malmansay event, and the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Englishmen are plotting this sort of thing in England in current year. So if you're following me here, I'm trying to say the blonde men in current year are the problem who cause these large-scale bad events. Malmansay, evil in and of itself. The thing itself is evil. It's the blonde-haired Englishmen who are doing these large-scale events. Oh, well, that's just fucking ridiculous. Of course it is. Of course it is. Was it Ariana Grande concert or something? Yeah. Yeah. So why don't you make it somewhat accurate? Yikes, my guy. Bad take, friendo. Touch grass, put your finger inside a woman. Yikes. Just yikes. Yikes. I just sometimes but it's not the English people who are doing this. And you're portraying the victims as the perpetrators because in your twisted logic of political correctness, you'll get canceled if you actually. And that's the harsh reality: is if they wrote a story using what's actually going on in the world, they would get canceled. They just wouldn't. The book just wouldn't get published. They get fired and they get their life destroyed. So every story now. I mean, this is why I say like the end of the end of pop culture, Hollywood with books and comics and movies is because every bad guy has to look like you and I in everything. It's the commercials are they're really you watch a commercial now you're like, oh my gosh. Every bad guy, it's like that's every story, and people are slowly getting tired of it. And you're going to see a fundamental change in Hollywood. And if this book is real, I just can't. This is too much. But if it's real, then you're gonna see a change in everything until like there's gonna be parallel societies, alternative parallel societies are going to crop up, and hopefully we have tailored uniforms. So no, it's not the Englishmen who are the problems in England. So there's a scene where you see Bond's internal dialogue, and he's lecturing the audience about how evil nationalism is in England, and those people who want to keep England English are just too nationalist for his take. Like they're doing a bunch of internal dialoguing in this, and that doesn't serve the stories well. External dialogue really drives stories. A little bit of description to set the scene, and who's the guy who wrote those books? Get Shorty, and he was doing an interview, and he was talking about he tries to just focus on dialogue driven, the between characters, what's going on between characters, and that drives the story more like a movie script. And when you have this internal dialogue, it's like, oh, so the writer is just putting his Trump derangement syndrome kind of nonsense, Brexit and the Wu flu and all, whatever like check marks, the cultural Bolshevik check marks they have. It's like that's just the author is the character, main character's internal dialogue, and it's freaking cringe when the author is a giant bleeding pussy soy boy, which is in the case of most authors. So James Bond would much prefer that England be full of non-English people because they're better, but he doesn't explain the further step, like why would non-English people in England be better than the English people who created England and built England? I don't know. It's just a mystery though you're gonna find out England. So he never says why this is good. It's just assumed that if you don't want to replace your people, then you're Hugo Boss. But they never have the discussion of why exactly you'd want England to not be native English. So how do these pussy authors get so soy? Well, for starters, they live in gated communities among safe, wealthy people who look exactly like them, while they simultaneously argue for the open doors and how diverse is their strength for other people. But then, if it comes to their area, well, they pack up and they move out as soon as it gets a little bit too enriched for their wives and daughters. They leave those areas and go to areas that look more like them. They move to the vibrant diversity of other wealthy people who look exactly like them, which is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But shouldn't everyone have that right, whether they're wealthy or poor, to like de facto as well as de jure, to be able to live among groups and communities that they choose? Covenants running with the land type of thing. It's like, oh no, only the wealthy should be able to do that de facto, but the poor shouldn't be able to do that de jure. Oh, that seems just evil. Seems like you're just a bunch of hypocritical monsters. And okay, don't French Revolution time. Bowling with unique bowling balls, or playing soccer, if you know. So for some reason they don't want to live in those areas, but they're wealthy and they want the poor to live in those areas, which just doesn't quite add up to me. So anyway, this book is pretty much a globalist fantasy where the English people are the problem in England, and England would be so much more progressive if they removed those people and new people from other areas of the world moved in. That would make England better. That nationalism, i.e., wanting that country of the native people to remain that country, is portrayed as wrong, except he never explains any of his theories, which you'd classify as genocidal. that's pretty much the definition of a large scale side of a genus. Removal of one group of people. Then you got to be careful on YouTube. It's like this is more than a strike if the algorithm picks this up. This is kind of a remove the whole channel all at once. Anyway, so the base chads that he portrays as the Malam and say large scale bad guys are actually the good guys. But if the story is you have real English against non-English, then the English have to be the good guys. You're not going to convince us this isn't a what is it the meme of the guy shows on our Argentinian soccer team, and it's all these like blonde-haired, blue-eyed Germans who had to leave after 1945 to populate Argentina and play the soccer team. A lot of Germans over there for some wacky reason. And somebody on Twitter goes, why are they all so white? Because this isn't a Netflix fantasy. This is a real world. Though, yeah, we're not all globalist parasites where you have a group of outsiders who are not English and you're portraying them as the good guys because they're globalists, but the nationalists who are the natives to England are the bad guys. Oh, what even is an Englishman? And they've come from all over, and they show this little diagram, this meme of Western Europe. It's like they show this tiny little circle of, Northern Europe and Western Europe, where they've come from, some French and from, Nordic and Aryan and Saxon and all this Britons and all this kind of stuff coming to form England. It's like, yeah, it's a pretty well one group of people, a couple little DNA subsets from within, 500 miles. Yeah, it's been that way for thousands of years. That's what they are. Like they know who they are. We know who we are. We identify. Anyway, it's really there's much more. I actually did this video first, and I realized it would have been too much. I'm going to put the original video up on Odyssey and Rumble, because YouTube, the censorship, man, is there's some tricky hot topics with things like some of the things this guy was talking about. There's some you can't even say a lot of that stuff because you'll just get a strike if you imply that the government and the media are not to be trusted. Oh, why wouldn't I trust a multi-billion-dollar company that sells chemical experimental compounds? Why wouldn't I trust them? I don't know, but if you imply that they're not trustworthy, it's funny, like the subversion of the left wing. Like, wasn't it just a few years ago that the left, they would have died before they said, oh yeah, trust the media and government. Are you out of your freaking mind? It's like, so what changed? I think it's called the Hegelian dialectic, which actually Star Wars did. The Lucas prequels, Star Wars in the 90s had a kind of a good example of that. Is you had the Senate's, the Machiavellian machinator fomenting discord to seize power, because if you make people afraid, you get people just whipped up into a frenzy of fear and terror. You can seize power by just saying, oh, I can take you out of this. I have a solution, but I'm going to have to remove some liberties. So, I don't know. It's about as much as I can do. YouTube is so friggin' lame. It just gets worse and worse. I hope there's some kind of mass exodus to Odyssey, Rumble, and the rest. The left wing has been so completely subverted and taken over. Somebody was pointed out, I think it was during the Occupy Wall Street, was kind of a really egregious example of the complete subversion and takeover of the left wing. It's like, well, they didn't really know why they were there, but the puppet masters knew that this had to end, and so they ended it. It's like, how'd you do that? Well, no, you don't need. It's like silver plateau ply or something, silver lead. You don't even have to go for the lead. You just go with the silver. It's like you just drive up in an AMG and talk to some of the people in charge. Go, hey, this briefcase full of money in this AMG. Yeah, we want to hire you as a consultant, and you're one of the leaders of these groups, and you're going to be a consultant now, and we're going to switch from class to race. And this, here are the keys to this car and this briefcase full of money, and you'll be getting a briefcase every month as a consultant. Oh, okay, we will switch from class, because, Occupy Wall Street, to focusing on, no, the real evil in society is Bob the plumber in his $65,000 truck who, plumbs. Yeah, you got to focus all your hatred on him. That, he's got a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath somewhere, and he's a plumber or the contractor somewhere. Yeah, he's the guy oppressing you. Not Wall Street. Not, I feel I sound like Jimmy Dore. Not the bankers, not the Federal Reserve. No. It's the contractor who's, it's the contractor whose, net worth is like $1 million. It's not Wall Street, huh? Yeah. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys all next episode.